Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Macro Podcast. My guest today on the show will be Keeley Hubbard. I forgot to ask her about something that is coming up, and I wanted to include it. So I just want to share this with you guys real quick. Keeley is having a Conversations Equal Capital free masterclass coming up, and I wanted to introduce that to you July 18th and 19th. 7 p.m. to 8:30, and I wanted to include your invite to that. That will be in the link. Also, I forgot to ask her about it, so I wanted to add that in front here and before we talk. And now a conversation with Keeley.
Good. Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Macro Podcast. I am thrilled to be joined by Keeley Hubbard today. For those of you who don't know Keeley, she is a world-class real estate capital raising coach and generally anything sales, but I think what's really special about Keeley is she also teaches capital raising specifically. So my audience, I think, will find her especially interesting. Keeley, thank you for joining the call.
I've been looking forward to this, Douglas. Thank you. Excited to be here.
I'm so geeked up. There are so many things I can't wait to talk about because it's been an interesting journey for me. I'm more a geek by nature, but I'm an extroverted geek. And so I thought, I'm extroverted. That means I'd be good at sales. Well, there's a little more to it than just being extroverted. And I can't wait to delve into that. And also, I'd love to talk to you about like the folks that are extroverted that are like, oh, man. Yeah. I can't do this. No way. I can't do it. And it's like, well, you can't let your extroversion get in the way of what you want out of life. And so I can't wait to hear the different approaches that you would take and where you're going. So, but before we delve into that, I'd love to get a little bit about your background and how you ended up here. And I'd love to talk to you a little bit. How did you get started in sales and how did you end up here?
Yeah. Well, my first job was in sales. I was selling like really high priced swim lessons at a swim school when I was like 15 years old. So I learned and I was top performer and I was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. And I loved the commission checks, being 15 years old and seeing commission checks on top of your hourly rate was pretty cool. Yeah. So I've been doing sales for a very long time and really got into high ticket financial education sales in 2010. And that's really where I built my career. Took my sales process that I kind of worked out myself in the trenches and took that to corporate, rolled it out to a bunch of franchisees and grew the company from 40 million to 220 million a year. And it was a wild ride, about 600 salespeople, but it was so much fun, so rewarding. Like a lot of people, I got burnt out. So I quit at the peak of my career. People thought I was nuts and went off to do my own sales coaching, work with business owners across lots of industries. And that's how I got here today and never looked back. It's been so much fun.
And that's fascinating. So you even started in the sales management role. So you even got to see from not just the sales in the trenches, but also the management mindset piece. And I would love to also tackle mindset because I don't think, as far as I can tell, if you don't tackle mindset some way, shape, or form in the sales context, you're doing something wrong. And I can't wait to get into that. But before we do that, I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about what attracted you to real estate specifically, or how did you get into that particular lane, so to speak, and what attracted you to it?
Yeah, well, I've been, having conversations with investors about money since 2010, and on the financial education side, empowering them to take more control over their retirement accounts, learn how their 401k works, learn how to actively trade the markets if that's what they want to do. My dad's been trading, started in futures with coffee and orange juice and corn back in the late 90s and managed his own small hedge fund. And so then I got into raising private money for a hedge fund, not my father's, but a separate partner of mine. Mm-hmm. And, dad, at the time that I was leaving corporate, my dad was over it when it came to the financial markets. He traded Forex, interest rates were compressing, not enough movement for him to really pull money out of the markets. He was like, I'm getting into real estate. I need your help. I need somebody to help raise capital. Do you want to do it? And, if you ever met my dad, of course, it's a heck yes. So that's how I got into it. We started multifamily. Now we do vineyards and we grow and harvest wine grapes. So you can syndicate anything. We have a ton of amazing investors, incredible people that we've met over time. But that's really how I got into it was through my dad.
And Keeley, what have you noticed so far is the distinction for people that are really successful at raising capital and the folks that they just sputter along and maybe even give up? Because it's a tough process. If you don't have a process or a system, man, I got to tell you, it's been a process for me myself, and I can only imagine just not having a process at all, what that's like. What are some of the things that stick out to you? Like, okay, you guys you're over here doing this. This is the thing you need to like. It's and usually maybe it's even just a 1 or 2% difference in what they're doing.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot that goes into raising capital. And I think people get so overwhelmed with hearing, okay, I need a website. Now I need a funnel. I need an automation and all these words that we hear in this business. And so we buy into the next best thing and the next best funnel. And, you know, it's kind of like the field of dreams, but it's the opposite. If you build it, they will not come. They will not show up because you have this amazing, you know, funnel. So the ones that do really well are the ones that realize you've got to develop sales skills and you've got to learn how to talk to people and conversations. I have a client that's raised $17 million, doesn't have a website, doesn't have, you know, he uses MailChimp, and we're working on that, right, to make his life easier. But my point is, he's like, I don't need that. I got my cell phone. This is how I raise capital. And so, and that's what it is. It's that ability and the boldness to go out there and talk to people about your business. And most people shy away from sales because everybody's had horrible experiences with salespeople, and they think, I don't want to be that person. So I'm going to go over here and write blogs and I'm going to build funnels and automations, and they struggle. But the good news is you can raise millions. And I'm proof of that. I'm proof of that in the corporate space, that you can sell authentically in a way that makes you feel proud, but intentional strategic conversations that move capital across the table. You don't have to be the sleazy salesperson.
And that's what I think when I first saw you present, I'm like, okay, there's somebody who's talking about authenticity and not naming any names. I'm not going to call anybody out, not like Grant Cardone or anybody. I'm not going to mention anybody like that I would never talk smack on Grant Cardone. The way you sell is very authentic, and I think that's probably what matters most, especially in so far what I've seen about raising capital. That authenticity, that willingness to like be yourself, and you're not trying to be something you're not. And it seems fascinating that your process involves that. Can you tell me a little bit more of how that translates for people? And because I think that's really a key why people should hire. And in case you guys haven't wondered, not that I'm just not having Keeley on the podcast, I explicitly endorse Keeley. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. I just think the incredible process. And yeah. So how did you come across that as like, oh, you can do that? And again, I'm just fascinated by that.
You know, so when I started, before I went to work and became VP of sales for this corporation, my family bought a franchise, and you know, I was a coward for about 8 months, and I was like, no, I'm going to do marketing. I don't want to sell, because it was such high pressure with the whole family on the payroll. We got to a place where we had a come to Jesus meeting. My dad was like, we're either going to shut the doors and we're all moving back to Dallas, Fort Worth, or we're going to make this thing work. And my brother's family meeting, he was like, you've got me and Greg, my brother-in-law, out here selling. We're horrible at it. And you got, and at the time he said Kobe Bryant sitting on the bench, right? And I was like looking around, like, don't call me out. And so I was terrified. And by the time that I didn't have the luxury of playing it safe, it's like the business was on the line. And so I jumped in the game and I said, I'm going to figure this thing out. And I went to corporate. And the corporate sales training, I left feeling like, oh my gosh, this didn't give me anything, because I felt so cringy. It was all the stuff that I'm like, does that actually work? Do people actually say that stuff? Do these closing tactics really get people to say yes? Like, this is insane. So I very quickly realized I got to figure this out on my own. And, you know, learning a process of losing sales, finding a way to figure out what went wrong and how can I go back in my process and prevent that from happening in the future. And I climbed to the top of the industry at the time from doing that. And then when I got to the top, I'm like, I'm still not there. And I hired a sales coach, and that just exploded my trajectory. But it was the process of realizing I don't want to be that. If that's what sales is, that's not me. I'm going to figure this out on my own in a way that makes me feel proud and really serving people.
And I watched a video by Alex Formosa this weekend that I loved, and he said there's S&P 500, then there's S&P me. And one of the single greatest returns on investment you can make is investing in your own skill set. And it is so true. I've gone years of just trying to figure things out. And I just, if you want faster results, it's an investment, and the return on investment. I have to agree. And again, I'll tell you guys, I've had folks that have worked with Keeley, and I'm 110% sure that you'll get more than your money's worth out of what working with Keeley on that. So just wanted to kind of support that idea, because you can, struggle for 10 years if you want. Or you can hire a coach and get there, 10 times faster or more. I mean, just by having a path and a game plan. Yeah.
That's why I've hired so many coaches. I've invested almost multiple six figures at this point, if I were to go back and add it all up. But I look at that and I'm a big believer in specialists. It's like, where's the specialist that's going to help me tackle this area of my life or my business that can get me to the next level? I feel like whenever you decide I've finally made it, that's when you fall flat on your face. So this whole journey of improving yourself and growing your business, it never ends. So I've just learned to surrender to the process and hire the help that I need to get me to show me my blind spots and kick me in the butt when I need it and get me to the next level. Yeah,
it seems like the more I do it, the longer I'm in it. It's just like an onion. You keep peeling layers. I don't know that, or what is that old Russian doll where you like keep opening it up and there's just another one in there. You're never going to arrive at it. And I agree completely. Just don't think that's an unrealistic goal. Just don't look at it that way. Keeley, in terms of mindset, because again, incredible mindset is an important piece of the puzzle. What are some of the most important mindset pieces that you adopted that help you really change in terms of, okay, it's just a process. It's not personal. Because again, it just, sometimes it hurts because you're like, oh, I got rejected. That was kind of ouchy. And you have to confront your fears about rejection, especially. And I think that's so interesting. How did you overcome those kind of interest, the mindset piece of it?
Yeah, I take a lot of assessments. So my coach does the first thing he did was run me through all these assessments to show me my blind spots. And I didn't deal with the rejection piece. Maybe I'm just like, I don't know, cold-hearted. I have a lot of other issues, don't get me wrong. But I've coached a lot of salespeople that, are challenged with rejection. And I'm gonna tell you a funny story. This was my sales coach that was facilitating a training. Hilarious thing that happened. This guy raised his hand. We were talking about mindset, belief system, all that stuff. And he said, how do you recover from it? Because he's like, I spin when somebody tells me no, and I spend all this time with them, I spin for days and then it screws up my next sales conversation. And so Adam, my sales coach, he's like, I'm going to give you homework. And he was like, well, first of all, are you single? And the guy was like, yeah, why? This is a weird question. He's like, all right, I want you to go to the bar this weekend, Friday night. And he said, I want you to walk in the most popular bar. This is in Austin. And he was like, I want you to ask out every woman in that room. Don't care how old they are. Don't care if they have a wedding band on, go in that bar and ask every single woman on a date. And he was like, are you going to do it? And he was like, I guess so. And the next week, the room was packed because everybody wanted to hear how it went.
Like, how did this happen? What happened? What happened? Yeah.
He's like, I sweated out my shirt. He said, but honestly, after about the 20th no, he was like, I was just like, whatever, who's next? And he goes, and I actually got a date out of it that I'm really looking forward to that's coming up this week. And so everybody was dying laughing, but I know that not everybody's single and, I'm not saying go to a bar and ask everybody out on a date, but here's the key. And I practice this in my own life too. You have to find a way to detach from the outcome of the conversation, detach from the outcome of the capital raise, detach from the outcome of you even posting on social media. You have zero control over it anyways. The only control you have in your business is the behaviors and the activities and the actions that you take to put your message out there, to pick up the phone and call people, to ask for the keynote, to get on the podcast, to call the investors, to call the family office. Everything else is out of your control anyways. There's things we can do to influence the other person's decision and our success and the probability of our success. But it's when we hold on so tightly to, I have to get this capital, I have to hit, 1.2 million on this raise, and holding your hand that tight, nothing can come in when your hand is squeezed so tight. So it's like, let go of it. And I hired a coach last year to help me with this very thing. And it was letting go of the outcome. I don't know what the outcome in my coaching business. I don't know what the outcome of this is going to be. And I don't care. Google contacted me for sales training. And I'd had a couple phone calls with Google. And I'm like, the old Keeley would have been like, this has to work because I got to put their logo on my website and I got to get this and I got to do that. And I just suck all the fun out of it, where the new Keeley is like, whatever. Like, God slammed the door shut where I'm not supposed to walk through and open the doors where I'm supposed to be and bring the people to me that I can help. And so if you're raising capital and you're putting your message out there, let go of the outcome and stop trying to force it. God, bring me the people I can help. Whatever you believe in, God, universe, bring me the investors I can help. This money is going to get across the finish line no matter what, because I know at my core, I'm a winner. I don't care what the scoreboard looks like. I'm going to find a way to make it happen, but I'm releasing the outcome. So I don't suck all the joy out of the process. We got to have more fun in business. That's been a big lesson for me this year.
Okay. I want to drop the mic almost, but I'm still I have to say this. I think that's going to be like the short that goes on YouTube right there, by the way. That was incredible. But what I will say is it strikes me as the business or you have the people that are very A-type area. There's something about you to put you in entrepreneurship to begin with. So I think it's interesting that I think you're 100% right, is learning how to let go of the outcome and just be process oriented. It's almost like there's a spiritual journey involved in entrepreneurship in a certain way, because it's like, okay, we're all Buddhism and capitalism. And it seems like there's some sort of thing there. I haven't figured it out yet. But it's so interesting. It's like, well, this is wild. And I couldn't agree more. I just, by the way, thank you, because I think that's spot on. Keeley, in terms of, if they want to work with you, what should they do to reach out, and how should they get a hold of you to move the process forward?
You can find me. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. You can find me on almost any social media platform, or my website, just KeeleyHubbard.com. And it's Keeley. There's a lot of E's in there. KeeleyHubbard.com. And you can find me there. Just reach out. I'd love to chat. I love meeting new people. Be happy to connect.
Yeah, Pat, I'd like an E, please.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right.
And another one.
Yeah, absolutely. And Keeley, in terms of where you'd like to see the business going forward in your business personally, what do you envision for that? Because I'm fascinated. I don't know that we talked a little bit. I don't think we talked about it yet on the podcast too much. The vineyard is a really interesting project. What do you see happening with that?
Yeah, I mean, the vineyards, so we're so excited about it. Most people are like, Texas wine, what? Like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
But there's this huge opportunity in Texas. There's major wine demand. We don't have enough grapes. We're 20 years behind in technology. And so we're basically bringing mechanized vineyards to Texas to fill the supply gap. In about 3.5 years, we'll be the biggest vineyard operator in the state, and will control more than 50% of the wine grape supply. So that's where we're headed. We have a lot of infrastructure to build in the meantime, and we're just having an incredible time. It's like you said, business is a spiritual journey. There's something spiritual about a vineyard when you stand in the middle of 350 acres. It's pretty incredible. So we're
awesome.
Just having a ton of fun with that.
That's incredible. And I did say this before, I think Keeley is going to need a reality TV show about this winery. It's going to be that epic. It's got to have it. It's got to have its own show. I think it does. Definitely.
I think so. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, Keeley, thank you so much for joining us. I really thank you for joining the call. I really hope folks get some value. And guys, again, reach out to Keeley if you have any questions about the coaching process and moving forward in the sales side.
Thank you, Douglas. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for joining.